Hello, winners. We are talking about MythBusters today, and we're starting off with a quote that is often misconstrued by Miss Maya Angelou, and that is, when you know better, you do better. But is that quote actually true? And is it actually used in the context that Miss Maya used it in? So we're coming to talk about these mythbusters that will put us in places of shame, put us in places of hardship, put us in places of bondage that hinder our ability to have breakthroughs. And so I really want to come to you guys today, and I really want to chat with you about what's going on in our world of all these cliches that we buy into, we let it go into our belief systems, and then we act on it only for it to be holding us back. Has anybody been held back by a mythbuster, a cliche? Like, when you know better, you do better. I want you to think about that cliche. When you think about that cliche, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Well, since I know it, I should be doing it. And why am I not doing it? And so we are going to talk about that today. And I really want you to be able to walk away with a perspective shift and different insights so that you can become comfortable with the truth and uncomfortable with the cliched lies that we have been believing. And so when we look at this one, let me get my spectacles out here, you know. And so when we come here and we look at this quote, when you know better, you do better. Oftentimes we hear that and we think, well, there's something wrong with me since I know what to do, but I'm not doing it. But the thing is, the whole quote is, the full quote from Miss Maya Angelou is this: do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. And so that is what the full quote, that full quote is a lot more self-compassionate than the clip off of that, which is, when you know better, you'll do better. What I really want you guys to walk away with is that this iconic American poet didn't mean to put out a statement of shame to people. What she meant to put out was a statement of elevation, a statement of self-compassion, a statement that says, look, you do the best you can with what you got, and when you know better, do better. So when we look at this cliche, when it's taken out of context, this cliche will make you feel like shame for past mistakes, create pressure to be perfect, but you're not. So it makes you feel like there's something wrong with you. And then ignore emotional readiness, trauma, or support systems needed for actual change. When we look at the facts of the situation, we all know that we should move more and eat less, or eat better, make better food choices. But are we doing that? We know it in our heads, but are we doing it in our actions? No, we're not. We all know that we should handle our finances better. We know that we should all have a budget. We should all have, I like to say, a financial picture, so that we know how much money's coming in, how much money's going out, and so on and so forth. But do we do that? No, we don't. And so what I really want to encourage each of you guys, beloved, what I really want to encourage you guys to do is for you to do the best you can with the information you have some self-compassion for yourself, and for you to grow in taking action. So what we're going to talk about today is a lot of different things that we struggle with throughout our walk on this side of eternity, and what keeps us from taking action. The number one thing that keeps us from taking action is a lack of clarity. The second thing that keeps us from taking action is fear. And so we are going to talk about some of these different things that keep us from being the greatness that has been placed on the inside of us. And so let me go ahead and let me introduce myself. Hi, I am Coach BU, the Breakthrough Strategist, here to help all my winners out there, help my winners win. And so I'm going to come to you with a brief steak dinner. This one won't be quite as long as usual ones, but let's get past these myths that we have about when we know better, we'll do better. The fact of the matter is, eating better, exercising more, and prioritizing rest is a hard place for many of us to be. And when we don't see ourselves as a priority and everybody else is a higher priority than we are, then guess what? It causes a problem. When we are one of the most obese nations in the world, we obviously know what we need to do so that we could not be the most obese nation in the world, but are we doing it? And what keeps us from doing it? Has food become an outlet for comfort? Has food become a convenience? You eat out because it's convenient for you to do. It's not, you don't have the time to meal prep. You don't have the time to go grocery shopping. So you're eating out of convenience. But if you really saw your body as a temple, your body as a place that you eat food that's living so that you can have a living body that actually give you the resources you need so you can have a thriving life, then everything changes, right? When we shift our mindsets, our behaviors automatically flow from that place. And Antoinette, thank you so much for joining. Grow in taking action. It works. And one of the things that I really like to have people understand is you need to have grace for the pace. You need to be self-compassionate. When we talk to ourselves like we hate ourselves, when we talk to ourselves like we're incompetent, we're not smart enough, we're not good enough, we don't know enough, we don't have the pedigree, then guess what? We start to behave just the way we see ourselves. As a man thinketh, so is he. So I'm going to ask you, beloved, how do you think about yourself? How do you see yourself right now in this season of time? What are you doing that would keep you from showing up as your best, most authentic self? What are you doing? How are you talking to yourself? When we look at this cliche, when you know better, you do better, it's almost as if when you don't do better, you're a mess up. When you haven't reached the bar of perfection, then what's wrong with me? Why can't I get it done? Why haven't I made the six figures? Why haven't I launched the business? Why haven't I gotten the promotion? What's wrong with me? I want you to start saying what's right with me. What's right with me? How can I achieve the greatness that is placed on the inside of my heart? How can I grow, heal, and thrive into all that I believe that is possible for me? It's going to start with first thinking about yourself in a different light. It's going to require you to understand that sometimes, just sometimes, there's a possibility that maybe you haven't seen yourself as worthy enough to show up for like everybody else you show up for. I'm not the believer that you need to set yourself on fire in order for everybody else in the house to be warm. Sometimes we need to have self-love for ourselves so that we can love others selflessly, so that we're not validated by other people. We're not held in a stronghold, that we are able to thrive, to grow, and to heal, that we can help others to thrive, grow, and heal, that we can be more compassionate with other people. So when we look at this MythBuster, and like I said in the beginning, when the myth is when you know better, you do better, but that's not always true. The whole quote is do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. That is a ploy to you to get an engagement with knowing what needs to be done. When we look at our obesity rates in the United States, over 40% of US adults are obese. Severe obesity is killing us one fork at a time. Beloved, I want you guys to live a thriving life. I want you to be in your 50s, 60s, and 70s, being able to take the mountain like you did when you were in your 20s and 30s. But if you don't talk to yourself like you love yourself, then you're going to create a pattern of behavior that destroys yourself. Can we start loving on ourselves so that we can love everybody else better? Self-love isn't selfish. Self-love is required to love selflessly. When we don't have to be validated by the opinions of other people, then we stop people pleasing. We start doing things that are good for us and good for others. It can be a win-win situation. When we look at the financial struggle in America, the debt, we have financial blind spots that keep us from saving and keep us in a survival mode. I know I'm guilty of it. Let me tell you point blank, period. Brenda Underwood does not have a heaven or hell to put anybody in. I'm not the fourth Godhead. Jesus is not hiring for Holy Ghost Jr. So I'm coming to you out of love and compassion to talk to you about how can you shift this narrative in your mind where you stop self-sabotaging, where you start to train your brain to propel you forward instead of training your brain to keep you shut down and to keep you sabotaged. And so when we begin to look at the financial blind spots, saving versus surviving, we know budgeting and emergency savings are essential. Yes, they are. But even saying, let's talk about this. Let's talk about money for a minute. When we say it's an emergency fund, then we get mad when an emergency comes up. How about we shift it, instead of calling it an emergency fund, calling it a discretionary fund? How about we get in the habit of showing up for ourselves financially? By every $20 I make, I'm going to put $1 in a piggy bank. Can I tell you guys a funny story? So I literally have a glass piggy bank at home. And there's a time in my business where I literally, about 3 years in, where I was going to have to shut it down and go back to corporate. And my son ended up buying shares into my business to help keep the business afloat. And we are now celebrating 11 years of helping people win and craft their winning life. 11 years! It will be 12 years in October. Actually, I got my business license in August of 2013. But I really didn't start doing business or taking clients until October. And so I always say our anniversary date is October of 2013. And that means we will be celebrating 12 years in business this year, helping women win and a few good men. But this is the main thing that I want you guys to get about growing and thriving, especially financially. We have to change the way we talk about money because we have to change the way we think about money. When we know better, we'll do better says that we need to know better. We need to gather some information so that we can act on what we know. And we're going to end this live with why do we sometimes know better but don't do better? But let's talk about the financial blind spots. When we say an emergency fund, we are saying, okay, this money is set aside for an emergency. But we get mad when the tire blows out or the engine goes out on the car or the roof needs work or there's an unexpected thing. Then we're mad about using the money that we have been saying has been an emergency fund. Change what you speak and you'll change what you experience. Your words shape your world. So you want your words to come across differently, right? So you may want to call it, instead of an emergency fund, a discretionary fund. So when you call it a discretionary fund, then that means I can use that to put a new roof on my house, or I could use that to take a trip to Barbados for Christmas. But it means that you need to do something different because you're speaking something different. In doing something different, it means that you need to acquire the habit of saving. and savings for a discretionary fund. Don't consume all you make. There's two ways to get out of financial crisis. Either make more money or reduce your spending. Those are the two ways you get out of financial crisis, right? Now, when we think about getting out of financial crisis, we have to understand that 62% of Americans report living paycheck to paycheck in 2025. 62% of people are living paycheck to paycheck in 2025, meaning they lack a financial cushion to do the things that they need to do, the things that will pop up. 59% of people say they struggle to cover $1,000 emergency expense, that they cannot put their hands on $1,000 if something was to come up that they needed it for. And God knows I've been there. When I moved to Georgia in October of 1998, I moved to Georgia with a 2-month-old baby, and I had to get on welfare. I literally had to wash my son's cloth diapers every night and dry them out so that I could take him to daycare every day. And I was in financial crisis. And I didn't have a job. I was on welfare. I was on child support. I don't even know if they have the Peach Care anymore, but those were the assistants that helped me get back on my feet. And thank God they were there, but they're not there to live on it for life. It is there for you to get back on your feet. And so that means you have to change your financial habits if you want to change your financial experience in life. If this is resonating with anybody, say, yes, that's me. I need to change my habits so I can change my experience. And so when we begin to look at our finances, this is my rule. For every dollar I make, 10% I tithe. Now, I'm not going to get into the conversation about tithing with you. You check that against your spirit and against what you deal with your God. So 10% tithe, 10% save off the cuff. So if I make $1, 10 cents is going to Jesus, 10 cents is going to a savings account that I don't have a checking credit card for or a check account with. It is a savings account that I have to go into the bank to take the money out. Then the other 80% I live off of. You literally want to break that down and make it a habit. Now, if you're trying to create passive streams of income, then take another 10% and put it into investing. Just put it into a separate account, and when it builds up to where you can start investing, maybe it's stocks, maybe it's a side business, maybe you'll become a silent partner in a business. There's lots of different ways that you can invest. This live is not about that. This live is about when you know better, start doing better. Learn how to do better. What's hindering your actions here? And it's your habits. Your habits control over 70% of your behavior. So when you get to the place where you are moving differently when it comes to your finances, you begin to see things differently. And so, I'm sorry, you guys, I am trying to make sure I get all this information out to you. I want you guys to think about how you see your money now. And someone out there is saying, Brenda, I can't live off of the 100% I get. Now you're telling me to live off of the 70? I'm telling you to get in the habit. I don't care if it's 5 cents on a dollar. Start getting in the habit of putting some of your money away. That may mean that you can't eat out as much. That may mean that you need to downgrade when you do eat out. Maybe you don't eat out at Papa Do's anymore, who charges you $7.50 for a lemonade and then $3.50 to refill it. Maybe you don't eat there anymore. Maybe you got to go over maybe to a Parkside district instead. Maybe instead of eating out 5 days a week, you need to eat out 2 days a week. Maybe you need to bag your lunch. Maybe you need to cut out the sodas. I don't know what your situation is, but we all have a $5 habit that we can get rid of. And then take that $5 and I call it a sock fund. Put it in a sock in your drawer, and Put it in that stock fund and just let it sit until you are able to make it make money for you. It's called habits, financial habits. We may be giving all our money away to help our kids. We may be giving all of our money our way to help our ex or help our boyfriends or help our male friends or help our spouse or what have you. What I'm saying is you need to reserve a little bit so that you can put it to the side. Have the habit of getting that done, making it something that you make a priority. When we look at our finances, there's three types of people in the world. There's people who know how to make money, there's people who know how to keep money, and there's people who know how to make money for them in their sleep. The people who know how to make money, they're working hard for the money, but they can't see any progress. That's the single mom in downtown, whatever area you're in, downtown Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, Atlanta, that's working 3 to 4 jobs trying to take care of those 3 kids she has. She's working hard for the money, but is she getting rich? No, she's not, because she's not working smart. Don't just work hard. You need to work hard, but you also need to work smart. Then you have people who know how to save money. That's your middle class. They know how to save money. Their money is literally a Linus security blanket for them. They just open up their bank account and like to see, I got $30,000 in my 401k. I got $20,000 in my savings account. And this group has a hard time going to the third group because they've used their money as a security blanket and they are unwilling to take any risk. They are indecisive. They are fear-based. Then you have the third, who've learned how to make their money a slave to them, make money for them while they sleep. These are people who have maybe exchanged their intellectual knowledge for an online course that they sell. They've learned how to do marketing in such a way that they're selling products while they sleep. These are people who learn how to invest. My son does, he's a stock trader and he invests money, but he has spent a good deal of resources and time to learn how to do that effectively. That's what we don't want to do. When it comes to, usually when we have financial struggle, we want immediate gratification instead of delayed gratification. We need to get to the place where we're willing to sow for a season so that we can reap later. Well, Brenda, your last line was you reap where you sow. Let me tell you what, you can never calculate the God factor. I don't reap where I sow. I reap where Jesus sowed. I operate in the unmerited favor of God, and he can breathe life on my actions in such a way to bring about an increase that I could never get on my own. That's what I mean. But it doesn't mean just because we reap where Jesus sowed doesn't mean we get to be passive and lackadaisical. What it means is that we need to be intentional and diligent. That third group, they've read books about money. They've learned about financial literacy. If you want to get into real estate, they've read books about real estate. They spent time. Someone asked me, I certify life coaches, and on Saturday, somebody asked me, Brenda, how do you read so many books? I have a discipline that 30 minutes a day I read. Actually, it's an hour. 30 minutes a day I read a business book at work, and then 30 minutes a day I read a book on my faith and my walk with Christ. It's a discipline, beloved. You have got to do something different if you want to get something different. At the end of the day, it comes down to us really saying to ourselves, how do I show up for the real me, the authentic me differently? So that, as Maya Angelou originally said, you do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. That is a battle cry for you to learn and then apply. I want you to write this down if you're taking notes. Information does not transform a life. Implementation transforms lives. Just because you know it doesn't mean you're applying it. But when we know it and apply it, then lives change. Your life changes. And so when we're talking about financial literacy, there's a ton, a plethora of books out there about learning more about it. But when you learn more, you got to do different. So one of the things that I teach people, when you read a book, at the end of every chapter, stop and evaluate and reflect and say, okay, what did I learn from that chapter in the book? And write down 3 things you learned from that chapter in the book. And then write down 1 or 2 things that you're going to apply in the next 24 to 48 hours. Why 24 to 48 hours? Because when you gain new information, your brain goes from, I think it's 13,000 connectors in the brain to 26,000 connectors in the brain when you learn something brand new. Now, it starts to die off when you don't immediately put what you learn into action. So in order to push new information from short-term memory into long-term memory, you have to apply it within 24 to 48 hours. So when you learn something new out of a book, you want to take what you learn and then turn around and apply it. So let's say you sat down, you read a chapter today, and then you're going to write down 3 things in the back of the book that you learn that's new. And then you're going to write down 1 or 2 things that you're going to apply in the next 24 hours. The reason why you write it down, because when you write things down, it hits a different place of the brain than when you just read it or listen to it. And so I like to listen to a book and read a book at the same time. It says you have greater cognitive retention. Now, cheap Brenda, frugal Brenda says, well, if I read the book, then I got to buy the book, and then I got to buy the book. Then I have to buy the book. So that means I'm paying for the book twice. Well, we don't want to do that. I don't like paying for the book twice. But what I don't like is paying for the book once, reading it in one way, and not cognitively retaining the information so that I can go apply it. So then I wasted the first set of money. I'd rather buy the book twice on Audible and in copyright paper book so that I can have a greater cognitive retention so the information can help me transform my life, because information does not transform your life. Implementation transform your life. When we hear the quote, knowledge is power, that is not true. That is a lie. Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. So we want to get to the place where we learn something and we apply it. So when we go back to those 3 groups of people who know how to make money, people who know how to keep money, and people who know how to make money for them in their sleep, they operate differently. Their habits are different. The way they learn are different. There's a reason why Lamborghini does not have Lamborghini commercials, because their buyers aren't sitting around watching TV. How many hours are you spending consuming TV? I'm not saying get rid of it. What I am saying is take a moment and say, do I really need to watch 3 hours of TV? Maybe I can watch an hour of TV and spend 2 hours doing something that's going to help propel my future into a different direction, change the trajectory of my future. What are the habits that you need to create to change the trajectory of your future? Do you need to invest in a life coach to help hold you accountable and give you some new strategic tools so that you can get real breakthrough? So let me go to the comments. Put your questions in the comments. Tommy McDaniel, thanks for the thumbs up. I appreciate you being here. If you got questions, put them in the comments. I would love to answer the questions live. So when we talk about our financial situations, we need to make a decision. If I want a different financial experience, I'm going to do something different financially. If we want to emotionally grow in self-care and stop neglecting our mental health, then maybe we need to pick up habits like slowing down. Self-care is more than getting your nails done and going to the spa. It may mean you need to start journaling. You need to increase your prayer life. You need to have some mindfulness exercises. especially for high achievers who are always on go, 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 go. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, let's not go, 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 go. Let's take some time to sharpen our axe. Let's take some time to reflect. Let's take some time to really be in the moment, because the present moment is what creates the future moments. And so when we talk about our living a life, a winning life, it starts out with knowing your habits. What are the habits that are destroying you, and what are the habits that will build you? And so I want to talk a lot. I want to talk in this next segment. When we know better, we do better, which is not true. We don't always do better. We know that we should eat better. Hold on. This is going to be my trademark, me fixing my wig in the middle of a live. But this is the thing. When we begin to look at how we live our lives, we need to stop and take inventory of our habits. What do you do day to day? And when you begin to look at your health has a lot to do with your rest, your digestive system, which is your gut, the food you eat, and how much you move. You don't need to go hire no guru to tell you that. We all know that. There's so much information out there, but why don't we take action? So let's talk about the fear factor. So I'm going to do something very bad. I'm going to leave my screen. I'm going to grab my Bible. So I've grabbed my Bible, and I'm going to go to the place to let you know where fear really has its greatest impact. 1 John chapter 4, verse 18. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear, because fear involves torment, but he who fears has not been made perfect in love. We love him because he first loved us. Every single thing that you're hindering yourself from doing has to do with the fact that there is some fear somewhere involved. A fear of failure, a fear of success, a fear of the unknown, a fear of rejection, a fear of abandonment, a fear of failure. There is some fear operating. If you find yourself procrastinating a lot, then you will often find that procrastination is attached to a fear. Maybe it's a fear that you don't feel like you're good enough for love. Maybe it's a fear that you will not get the job that you need because you don't have the credentials that everybody else has. What is your fear? Identify that fear. And remember this, fear is a lie from the devil. The fear is a lie from the enemy. Fear is designed to keep you out of what God has for you. It's designed to keep you in indecision. It is designed to keep you from moving forward. It is designed to hinder progress. And so when we think about why we're not taking action, fear is operating. Call it whatever you want. Call it analysis paralysis. Call it worry. Call it anxiety. All of that are fear-based symptoms. And so when we want to really look at destroying fear, we have to first make sure that we don't give fear a vote. We have to shut down the voice of fear in our minds and out of our mouths. Sometimes we spend so much time telling our girlfriends and our male friends about what we're scared of that the enemy has more power in our mouth than God does. Don't give fear a voice. Don't let fear have a vote. And don't let fear be your head coach. That means fear is dictating what you do and don't do instead of faith, instead of love. When we really believe that God is for us and not against us, then we move differently than we ever have. You know, I'm just going to be real honest with you guys, beloved. Until we get to the place where we reflect and really get honest with ourselves, and sometimes that's going to require hiring a coach so that you can, because a coach can see your blind spots and you cannot see your own blind spots. But when we allow fear to be our head coach, when we allow fear to operate in us and through us, we are allowing the devil to destroy our steps to walking in the promises of God for our lives. And we call it, well, I'm just being cautious. Okay, you do need to have calculated risk, but you do still need to take the risk. The difference between the middle class and the wealthy are the wealthy are willing to take risks that the middle class won't take. The middle class are risk averse, where the wealthy, they take risk, calculated risk. They're willing to risk it all for a come up. They're willing to go into some debt so that they can create income. Let's say you go into debt to buy a apartment complex, but that apartment complex will yield you income within 18 to 36 months. So that's not consumer debt where you're just getting debt because you like to eat out and buy your Louis Vuittons. No, you're going into debt to create more income. And so at the end of the day, beloved, how do you need to reassess your fear factor? Is fear the head coach? Is fear telling you to go make a touchdown for the enemy team? Or have you told fear to move from being a dictator of your life to being a spectator in your life, and you are facing off with fear every time it shows up? Which one are you doing? Because fear is what's keeping you from taking action, and a lack of clarity. We don't sit down and get out of our heads what are our goals and putting it on paper. Instead, we keep all of our goals in our head, and then we're wondering why we're so decision fatigued. We're so intellectually drained. I promise you, beloved, if you'll take some time to reflect about what keeps you from taking action, you will see fear somewhere there. Let me give you something from Dr. Eric Thomas. He says that when you are not taking action, stop and ask yourself, are you not taking action because you see it as an obligation? You see, I got to go to work. I got to do this. I got to do that. Stop saying I gotta. You chose that job. You chose that spouse. You chose to have those children. Stop treating yourself in a parent-child relationship where you're rebelling against yourself. You get the opportunity to do different things. You get the opportunity to pay your bills on time. You didn't have any problems going and spending that credit. Now I don't have any problems paying it back. So let's go to the chat. So Ann Siri, hey Ann, she has a question. Taking time is so important. I have been improving my health with new knowledge, but I noticed that when I'm rushed, anxious, stressed, I slip back to what is comfortable and what is comfortable. And so Anne is saying she slips back when she gets anxious. But if you can see that anxiousness triggers a behavior you want to change, hack it right then. So between the trigger and the behavior is where you hack a habit. And so you want to stop and you want to say, okay, I'm feeling anxious right now, and I want to go back to what I usually do, my comfort zone. Instead of doing that, take a moment and say, okay, I'm feeling anxious. What can I do when I feel anxious? Let me think of the positive outcome that I want in this situation. Let me put my worry to work. Let me write down what I'm anxious about, and let me write down what is the positive outcome that I want to come from this situation. And then you begin to hack that anxiousness habit, and you begin to put all of your focus on the positive outcome that you want to create. Next question. Anne says, time to reflect is so important. I have been working on my health. Hold on, did I get the wrong? I have been working on my health. Okay, so she kind of put the same question twice. Time to reflect is so important. I have been working on my health and making progress with new knowledge. However, when I am rushed, anxious, or stressed, I often slip back into old habits. Okay, so basically, she put the same question in there. So I've answered that question. And so, one of the things that I really want to help you guys do when it comes to being able, no problem, and no problem at all. This is a guilt free, shame free zone here. One of the things that I often tell people when they struggle with taking action is, it's more than just do it. When you start to think about taking action, you have to start to think about taking action in such a way that there's going to be a little delay. We're going to change where my out. Ask yourself, what is it? Ask yourself, can you guys, Ann, can you put in the chat? Let me know if you can hear me because my headset is telling me that you guys may not be able to hear me. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Okay, I'm hoping you guys can hear me. All right, so when you think about not taking action, ask yourself, what's causing me to be apprehensive? Is this a check in my spirit from God saying, don't do that, don't move forward in that? Or is it, I'm scared that I'm going to fail? I'm scared of the unknown. I'm scared that I can't see all the steps. Okay, great. I'm glad you guys can hear me. You want to take a moment and assess, why do I not do what I need to do? So I lost 70 pounds in my 50s. And in doing that, in losing 70 pounds in my 50s, I have come to a place where I had to stop and say, I have spent $30,000 on fitness coaches, nutritionists, a variety of different things. And I wasn't losing weight. I was still 235 pounds. And so thank you, Tommy. Thank you so much, Tommy, for being here. I appreciate you. And so I was like, why am I not taking action? And to be honest, I didn't take action on what I knew to do because I kind of felt like, God, I gave up. I've spent 15 years in abstinence to honor God and try my best to do relationships God's way. I gave up snorting cocaine, smoking weed, and putting those two things together. I gave up cussing folks out every time they made me mad. I was trying my best to walk with God and live out what God calls us to do. And in doing so, I felt like I should be able to have that one indulgence. I should be able to eat what I want, when I want, the way I want, as much as I want. And so I was using food as a guilty indulgence. I was using food as my outlet. I wasn't an emotional eater, or I guess you could say I was. I ate when I was mad. I ate when I was happy. I ate when I was sad. I just ate. But what I really had to come to grips with was saying that, you know what? This guilty indulgence is destroying my health. I had been battling, they had been saying I was borderline diabetic for years. And then the doctor finally said, we're going to put you on medication. I said, time out. We ain't doing that. And then I started getting really serious about what I put in my mouth. And I made two decisions. Everything I put in my mouth wasn't going to taste good. And everything, and that I was going to live to eat. I was going to eat to live and not live to eat. And I made those two decisions. And I started studying about how to eat better and how food broke down into chemicals in our bodies. And that although fruits are great and they take care of my sugar fix, but they are energy for my body. But vegetables are required to balance out that energy so that I can stabilize. And so everything comes down to balance, beloved. And so I lost 70 pounds at 52 years old when I'm going through perimenopause and all those things, when I should not have. All the studies say, well, when you get a certain age, your metabolism slows down. I never speak things that I don't want over my life. I don't care what the statistics are. Speak life over your life. The speech center of the brain is the command center for your entire nervous system. So speak what you want, not what you don't. And so I hope that this live has given you guys some different ways to look at the full quote of Maya Angelou, which is, do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. I hope that you've learned how to gain some knowledge, how to retain some information, and that when you do, you can take action on it. And when you're not taking action, you stop, reflect. Am I seeing this as an obligation? What fear is operating here? And how can I face off with this fear and put my worry to work? How can I change what I'm worried about and say, okay, what's the positive outcome I want to achieve from this? And then put all of your energy into achieving that positive outcome. And so I hope that this life has helped you, beloved. I hope that it helps you to move forward. I hope it helps you to grow. And with that being said, if you are looking for a life coach or a business coach to help you change the trajectory of your future, I hope that you would go to my website, Breakthrough for Life. Hold on. Go to my website at breakthroughforlife.com and schedule a free discovery call with me. It's a 45 to 60-minute discovery call where we are going to craft a custom coaching journey to help you move forward in changing the trajectory of your future. This is my life calling. This is not my get rich quick situation. This is what God has called me to do, to help others heal, grow, and thrive. I want each and every one of you, beloved, to grow. I want each and every one of you to get out of survival mode and go into thriving. But this is the thing. If you schedule that discovery call, please show up for that discovery call. When you schedule time on my calendar, that means no one else can book a call at that time. So if you sign up, show up. And if you show up and you find that Breakthrough for Life is a good fit, be ready to invest, because there is no time like the present. An opportunity needs to be seized in the lifetime of the opportunity. So when you sign up for a free discovery call, come ready to be honest with yourself so that we can craft a custom coaching journey that I will guarantee results for. If you're willing to do three things, if you're willing to take action and eliminate excuses, if you're willing to get out of your usual routine and do something different so you can get something different, and if you are willing to be open and coachable, I guarantee that you will be of the 95% of all of my clients that get the results that they sign up to get. When you look at coaching, coaching is there to help you make swift strides towards the future you want, help you gain clarity, help you see your blind spots, and help you strategically move forward in a different way. And I'd love to be your advocate to help you win. Now, I offer a variety of different services, but let me tell you the top three. I do one-on-one coaching in two formats. Barrier breaker, to help you break through fear, doubt, indecision, and procrastination. That's the Barrier Breaker program. It's a 10-week program that's customized to what you struggle with. Then I have the workplace exit strategy program. All of these are one-on-one custom coaching programs. The workplace exit strategy program helps you unlock those golden handcuffs of corporate with the keys to entrepreneurship so that you can change the trajectory of your career and your future. Then I have the Business Blast program, which is one-on-one coaching for people who are already in their full-time business and they want to scale their business to the next level. Scaling comes with having a good sales system, good systems, and good staffing. And if you do your systems right, you'll require less staff so that you can scale your business to the next level. And I specialized in that when I worked in corporate for 30 years. I was an infrastructure creator. And so I would help companies like Toshiba and Ricoh and SOS create inside sales departments and telemarketing departments, and Voice Nation, help them create an entire call center. So I am an infrastructure creator. So the Business Blast is where I help business owners scale their businesses to the next level. Those are my 3 one-on-one coaching programs. And then I have the Life Coaching Certification Program. That program is a group instruction session. It's not group coaching. It is where I literally pour into you everything you need for you to build business while building people. So if you're looking to getting a life coaching certification, there are 3 types of life coaching certifications out there. There's one, the online self-paced certification program that has no one-on-one coaching for you, that has no demos, no live interaction where you practice what you're learning. It's just giving you information. A talking head going through self-paced online pre-recorded modules on how to coach. Then there is the hybrid online coaching that has some group coaching where you can come do some Q&A. Then there's the third one, coaching laboratory. That's where you learn something from a live instructor, you put it to use right there in the class, and you learn how to use what you're learning right then. It is for all those hands-on learners. Would we really want to be driving on the freeway next to people who learned how to drive out of an online course where they just read a book and someone just told them how to drive? Or would you prefer to be on the road with people who have been in a car with an instructor and they learned how to drive with an instructor right next to them saying, hey, you need to be pushing the gas, there's a stop sign coming? So my life coaching Breakthrough for Life Academy is a life coaching certification program that allows you to use what you're learning right then in a live lab. We're going to spend 9 modules on teaching you how to build a business, how to do your marketing language, how do you build your marketing strategy, how do you get clients to pick up the phone and call you, how do you market your business, how do you put together a custom coaching program that can get results for people, not a band-aid for now, but a breakthrough for life. Then we're going to teach you how to apply that marketing strategy, how to create your irresistible offer. Then we're going to spend 9 modules on how do we teach you how to do cognitive transformational coaching. How do we teach you how to go through a coaching modality called Groom that takes people from goal setting to goal achievement in 60-minute sessions, right? That's 60-minute coaching sessions. We're also going to teach you lift, which is how do you lift past the superficial to get to the root of people's issues and help them root that up and plant the seeds they need so that they can move forward more appropriately. And so the Breakthrough for Life Coaching Academy is about life coaching certification. And you come out of that 18-week academy knowing how to build a business and knowing how to get cognitive change in the lives of other people who don't look like you, think like you, or believe like you. It is all about helping people heal, grow, and thrive. So if you are already a coach and not getting the results you want, there's many people who've gone through an online self-paced program or a hybrid program, and they sign up with me because they can't get results with their clients, or they're not getting results and getting their clients to pick up the phone and call them. Then they come and they get certified by me, and then they get what we give as the big promise. We give a big promise, and you'll have to come to a discovery call to learn what that big promise is. But we give a big promise to help you make sure that you get what you need so you can build a business in a box while building people to thrive in life. And so I hope that you will go and schedule a discovery call, or give me a call and let's chat briefly. You'll still need to schedule a discovery call, but schedule a discovery call so that I can help you build business while building people. And you can do this while you keep your part-time job. How much would it help you to have a side business that is passion driven, that can bring additional income to your household to help you pay off that debt, to help you save, and to help you thrive financially? So if you're interested in any of those, please schedule a free discovery call with me. And let's take our lives and our businesses to the next level so that we can heal, grow, and thrive together. Thanks for being here with Coach BU. I look forward to seeing you on the other side.